Hello, everyone. A big welcome to Chilparco Education today. Greetings of peace, love, and happiness to each and every one of you. Yes, you cannot see me, but you can see our professor who's going to be doing all the talking today. And he will be talking to us about the art of diplomacy in communication. Professor Khairuddin Sudarmin is all the way from Malaysia. So do not see Indonesia, but we are a global family. We belong to one beautiful
Yes,
planet Earth. And at the same time, we believe that learning is a never ending process. One needs to keep on learning. One needs to keep on learning from people who are experts in their field because those people have so much to share. They're such experts, they're unique, unstoppable, tenacious souls who have so much to share. And our professor is one great professor when it comes to communication, when it comes to diplomacy, when it comes to all these things combined together. But now the question is, how do we add diplomacy in our conversation, in our communication? How do we not make it obvious? How do we keep our talks, our conversations candid yet cordial? For all this, I hand over this virtual stage to our Professor Khairuddin. Professor, it's over to you. And we are going to be ready to learn.
thank you, Dr. Alka Mahajan. Thank you for giving a slot tonight to share with viewers, audience, wherever you are on planet Earth, a little bit of on the topic that has been given to me by Dr. Alka. Uh, I will share you the slides in a moment. But before I forget, I just like to wish everyone, what would you call it?
Merry
Beautiful,
Christmas.
yeah, a beautiful festive
Festive
festivities coming,
season.
yeah, coming along. Year end, Christmas. I
Yeah.
hope there's not too much snow, or I hope not too much water, depending on which part of the globe you are in. And but most importantly, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on planet Earth. Okay, let me now try and put my slides on. Can you see my slides now, Dr. Alka?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Oh, there I am.
Wonderful. That's wonderful. That must be the Christmas gift, Dr. Alka. Okay. In the next, what? How much time do I have? What? Half an hour, 40 minutes, or
Yeah,
15 minutes?
yeah, about half an hour.
Yeah, yeah. So I will dabble on, on the topic of the art of diplomacy in communication. And see, the problem with all of us is many of us know what diplomacy is all about. Many of us know what a diplomat does, but we're not following that. If only we have the skills or polish our skills in communicating. Communicating means trying to get across your views, talking and listening. And a lot of people sometimes they talk a lot. So that's where the problem is. So that's why you have to check the diplomats. They know when to talk. They know when to keep quiet, which I will share with you in the slides in a moment. And this is what is to me is very important. And diplomacy is not something that you were born with. Some people are born with diplomacy, and diplomacy is a political skills. But some of us learn it as they go through life. But before I forget, take a look at our children. When they were young, they already picked up all the skills of politics and the skills of diplomacy. And as an example, even the little boy or the little girl goes to the mummy and tries to get something, and the mummy says no. You know what he or she does? They will go to the daddy and ask them, and they get it from the daddy. So you see, that is to me the rudimentary, fundamental political skill, which will come in handy in their lives later on as they grow up, in their professional lives, in their personal life, and of course, if they are diplomats, in their governmental life. So you see, these are some of the things that most of us take for granted and did not want to dwell a little deeper into it, which I think it's not too late. But today we will see that a lot of different generations look at the world or view the world differently. Some look at it, what we call, in a very friendly manner, but some look at it in a very hostile manner. And these are the things that contribute to the diversity of the world that we live in, right? Let me move on with my slides before I blabber on into something else that might go viral. Okay, right. Diplomacy. So you can see that decisions, relations, countries, labor, social interaction, skills, trade, what have you. All right.
Right.
Uh, Let me move on. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. The art of diplomacy in communication is an essential skill that helps individuals navigate through various social, professional, and political contexts, which was what I have just quickly, touched on as I began my session tonight.
Mm.
And number two, it involves using tact, empathy, and cultural sensitivity to express ideas, resolve conflicts, and build relationships. Fact. Fact is something that many people do not have, but you can train, you can learn. Those days, I remember in my 4 decades of being in the corporate world and corporate and government, um, I come across this and I notice a lot of people do not have tact. If only they polish. Tact means being tactful means to be. It's part of the art of diplomacy. Being able to make people say no, okay, when they actually wanted to say yes when they actually wanted to say no, or to say no when they actually wanted to say yes. So
Yeah.
these are the way that you communicate. So being tactful is to me a very important skill. And number three, okay, now the art of diplomacy in communications is not just limited to international relations, but it is also applicable in everyday conversations, workplace interactions, and personal relationships. Let me move on. Okay. Now, one of the key elements of diplomacy in communication is the ability to listen actively and attentively, which I mentioned at the beginning. And yes, it reminds me, or it brings me back to the time when I joined a corporate, which was owned by the government. And I at that time I joined PNB for in Malay it's called Perbuatan Pemodalan Nasional Berhad, but in English it's called the National uh, Fund Management Corporation. So what we do is we make sure that all the money that is invested is also invested um, properly, and so that they get the what they call fair and good profitable returns to people who make the investment. This is the, oh, I won't go to detail. But most important thing I wanted to say about the first thing that was told to me when I joined this organization was my boss told me, listen, everyone is taught to polish their listening skills. We all listen. Most of us don't listen. We hear. Let's look at the husband and wife. Most husbands, okay, probably wives too. They don't listen. They just hear. Or you can see, people make jokes of it. It's a joke, but it is true, and it has been affecting a lot of relationships. Yeah, yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I hear you. But I'm not listening to you. See the difference? But when you say, I am listening, can you run that by one more time again? I'm listening very attentively to what you're trying to communicate and tell me. Can you say that again? See, there's a difference between, yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I hear you. Okay. So that's an example that I want to share with you. The difference between hearing and listening. Most of us hear, but very few listen. Good leaders, good managers, good wives, good husbands, good children, they listen and learn. They don't just hear. See? So that's the fundamental difference or the importance of the skill of listening rather than hearing. Okay, let me move on. Now, okay, they seek to understand the underlying concerns and motivations of the individuals they are conversing with, which allows them to respond thoughtfully and constructively. Active listening promotes mutual understanding and helps avoid misunderstandings or unnecessary conflicts. Can you imagine someone looks at you, with a smile, but his mind or her mind is somewhere else, and then trying to fool you into believing that they're listening to you. They're not. They're just hearing you. Yeah, 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 I hear you. I hear you. But they
Doesn't
are
this happen all the time, Professor?
exactly. Even as I'm speaking, it happens all the time. Okay, in different parts of the world. Okay,
Yes.
let's move on. Now, another crucial aspect of diplomatic communication is the art of choosing words carefully. Today, I noticed my observation. Correct me if I'm wrong. The generations after me, they did not pay much attention to communication, let alone diplomatic communications. And they don't choose their words carefully. They just say what they feel like saying. If they're angry, they just find a word that they can find. They didn't even bother to check the Webster or Oxford Dictionary, because the words, if you choose the right words, can cool down somebody. And someone who's really angry, and if you choose the right word, you can, cool, calm them down automatically. So that's the beauty of diplomatic communication, or the art of choosing your words carefully. Okay. Okay. Diplomats are adept, okay, at avoiding offensive language, inflammatory remarks, or overly blunt statements that may damage relationships or escalate tensions. In fact, that's the training that they went through before they become a diplomat. They have been trained by the government to make sure that you know what to say. Okay, you can be aggressive, but at the right time. But at most times, try not to be aggressive, offensive, smile, and the word is be tactful. And if you are in a foreign nation, make sure you respect the laws and the customs of that nation, and that you behave in such a way, especially in communication. You need to say what your piece in a language that is diplomatic. Now, instead, they use polite and respectful language, focusing on common interests and areas of agreement. Now, by choosing words wisely, diplomats can convey their message effectively without causing offense or distress to others, promoting a conducive environment for dialogue and cooperation. I'm sure diplomats, know this better than I do. Otherwise, they won't become diplomats. If you ask me now, if it were to turn the clock, um, and restart my whole career, where would I work? I said, and I told a friend of mine, I said, I would work in the government, and I would work in only two departments. Then he asked me, what would that be? Number one is foreign relations, which means that I want to be a diplomat. And number two is international relations, or international Ministry of International Trade, which means that I will also be going around the world, okay, doing business for the country, which requires diplomacy skills as well. Okay. Let me move on. Diplomacy in communication involves being aware of cultural differences and adapting one's communication style accordingly. Different cultures have their own norms, values, and communication patterns. Now, diplomats take the time to educate themselves about these cultural nuances, showing respect for diversity and fostering inclusivity. By adjusting their communication approach to align with the cultural context, diplomats demonstrate a willingness to understand and engage with individuals from different backgrounds. Diplomatic communication also necessitates the ability to manage conflicts and differences of opinion constructively. Diplomatic communication here does not mean the communication of diplomats. When you're a normal person like you and I, when your communication is very diplomatic, okay, you have the ability, okay, to manage conflicts and the differences of opinions constructively. Instead of engaging in confrontational arguments or personal attacks, diplomats seek common ground and identify areas of compromise. They focus on finding mutually acceptable solutions that benefit all parties involved. Diplomatic approaches to conflict resolution emphasize dialogue, negotiation, and mediation, thus fostering a more peaceful and cooperative environment. Let's move on. I have 200 slides. This okay. Being aware of non-verbal communication is integral part of diplomatic communication. Body language, gestures, facial expressions, and tone of voice can convey meanings and emotions. Diplomats pay attention to these non-verbal cues, aiming to match their own demeanor to the context and expectations of the conversation. Now, this helps ensure that their message is received positively and that the conversation remains respectful and meaningful. It's two-way, okay? You have to learn to respect the other party and make sure that the other party respects you. And all these can be honed, can be polished, can be trained. Okay? Oh, I've come to the end of my presentation tonight. Now, in conclusion, the art of diplomacy in communication is an invaluable skill that allows individuals to navigate, it's very important, to navigate complex social, professional, and political landscape. Yes, we live in very challenging times. We used to live, they say, in the VUCA world, volatile, uncertain, complex, and what was the other one? Volatile, uncertain, ambiguous. Okay, but we now live in a bunny world. Okay, the bunny world stands for. Okay, that if you want to know more about bunny, you have to come and listen to my other talk on the bunny world, which describes the world that we live in today. Okay. Okay. Through active listening, careful language selection, and cultural sensitivity, conflict management, and non-verbal communication awareness, diplomacy can facilitate understanding, resolve conflict, and build strong relationships. At its core, diplomacy is the art of effective communication and negotiation, often in situations where different interests and opinions are involved. In the context of a global career, if some of you want to work as a diplomat, it entails the ability to communicate sensitively, resolve conflicts, and foster positive relationships across cultural divides. By incorporating these principles of diplomacy into our everyday communication, we can create a more harmonious and inclusive society. Okay, I guess that's it. Thank you.
Terima
Xie
kasih.
Terima kasih. Gracias muchas. Merci
Merci
beaucoup.
beaucoup.
Okay.
Wonderful. Professor, I have a
Ah,
question that has come to me
right.
from Janet in Mexico. All
Oh, okay.
right. Yes, she says that, no matter what I do, I
Ah,
am not able to maintain objectivity in communication. How can I do that? Is there some formula, or do you have some simple tip or advice for Janet in Mexico?
uh, ask her if she has been talking a lot and what they call making wanting people to listen to her rather than she
Yes,
listens to
she
others.
does talk a lot. She has mentioned this in her.
I thought so. I thought so. I thought so. So my advice to her is, young woman from Mexico, is to
Yes,
after this, as of now, after you will listen to me, please reduce the amount of the talking and take a deep breath and hold back and remember. If you talk a lot, then you can't remember what you say. If you have, like, say, 5 points to get across, stick to the 5 points, remember the 5 points, then you will be communicating better. And whoever the person that is listening to you, okay, will be able to listen to you. And the point is, they know that you've been talking a lot and so many things, you're not happy with this, with that, blah, 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 blah. And, they're not listening to you. They hear you, yeah, I hear you. So my advice, young woman, okay, is to reduce the volume or the amount of information that you want to speak or get to communicate with others. That's my response to the answer, Dr. Alka.
perfect. I'm sure she will listen to this when I put this on the page and also on YouTube. There's another one from this youngster in college.
Mm.
The boy's name is Nikhil, from India, and he says, "What do you think, Professor? What do you think is a effective way to talk in an interview using diplomacy? How effectively, I mean, you shouldn't look or sound fake. So
Yes.
probably he has gone through two, three interviews, for some internships or part-time jobs. And he says that he hasn't been successful so far. And he feels that it is somewhere due to the way he communicates. So do you have an advice for him, some tip for him that can be
Yeah, okay.
passed?
Nikin, yes, excellent. I was a young man like you before. I went for a lot of interviews. And in those days, I was in HR, okay? In my 4 decades of corporate life, I interview a lot of people. In those days, I noticed, okay, people do not say anything, they're very quiet. When the interviewer asks, then they say, yes. If I send you to, what do you call, to Pakistan, is it okay? Yeah, okay. If I send you tomorrow, will you, is it okay with you? Yeah, okay. Everything is okay. So they don't say much, they don't talk much. But it's different. I noticed today, and I was talking with a lot of HR people today, and when they interview a lot of candidates, they are different now. They seem to be talking more than the interviewer. So I hope you're not in that group, okay? So what do you call? You the keyword is diplomacy. Be diplomatic. Speak loud enough. Answer to the question. Speak loud enough to the interviewer, okay? And answer to the question. Don't go and tell grandfather stories, unnecessary things coming on. And then do not. This is very important. Do not oversell. They already have your CV. They already know what is your qualification, what you are good at. So you must be seen to be someone that is can be trusted, and your smile must not be fake. All this the interviewer can tell, and from the way you answer, whether you are firm but fair, whether you are kind, they can detect from the tone of your voice. So that's my advice to you, young man. The next interview is smile. Don't over smile, and show your teeth. No, that's not it. So you just be you. And if you have something that you are not happy about, or if you feel that something that is new, show that you are like surprised. And oh, that's the first time I'm hearing it. So be natural, be normal, but uh, answer to the point and make sure the sentences are make sure if it's in English, it's in proper English. If it's in Urdu, it's proper Urdu, and that make sure that you exude the warmth. Interviews can know whether you're a cold fellow or you're a warm-hearted person. So all this is very important, and many young people do not know. So these are some of my tips because I went through the same things when I was young at your age before. Right? Am I okay, Dr. Alka?
Oh, perfect. Wow. And we have one last question, which
All
has
right.
come to me from a young man in Spain,
Wow.
Marco.
I from
Marco.
Mexico, from India, now from Spain. Oh,
Yes. And Marco says that, in his job, he deals with a lot of female colleagues, professional female, and
right.
he notices a lot of emotional outbursts from them. You know, so whenever he's talking to his female colleagues, there are a lot of emotional outbursts. So, what can he do to, or what kind of language should he be using uh, so that the work gets done, because see, he has to work with them as a team member, so they're working, basically they do group projects, and in his group I think he is the only gentleman, and he says there are a lot of these emotional, whenever there is some disagreement, there are a lot of emotional outbursts from the females, and I feel, because I'm the only man in the group, so I feel I don't know what to do. So is there some way professor can help me, or some tip that professor can give me to, so that I can speak in a way that there are no emotional outbursts from these women?
Okay, I have had experiences like that too before in my younger
Oh.
days. And what you call emotional outbursts are normal. That's what you call a behavioral the behavior of women. And in fact, that is something that's innate, and sometimes it can be a strength to them. One of their strengths is emotional outburst. See, because when you get something, when the boss sometimes get caught off balance, when that emotional outburst, she can get what she wants. So these are tricks. So, but good bosses, okay, learned bosses who knows the behavior of women won't easily, get carried away with this emotional outburst. But to help you to deal with emotional outbursts with your colleagues in your organization is you need to talk to them nicely, let them, encourage them to let it off their chest. Don't stop them, okay?
Yeah.
But don't make
I
fun
think
of it.
this, what you said, don't
Yeah,
stop them.
don't stop
This
them.
is so important.
It's very important. You let
Yeah.
them, let go of their chest. Once it's
Yeah.
off their chest, and then when they take a deep breath, when they calm down, and that's when you come to them and then and ask them, or wait for them to come to you and ask you. These are the things that I learned before. If they are in the, at the height of the emotional outburst, and you come and say something that is not appropriate or that makes them even angry, you are starting the third world war. So my advice is um, to be professional, maintain your distance, maintain the what you call congeniality, maintain the relationship, but always remember uphold the professionalism and respect. You must remember that you are dealing with a female employee, a female counterpart. Okay, male and female, they look at things differently. They look at the world differently. So if you understand this, you should be able to work well. In fact, work very well with women. And Dr. Alka, that's my advice to
That's
the young
wonderful
lady.
advice. That's wonderful advice, because it does happen. And everybody,
Yes,
they try their best. And
it
sometimes
happens
it
all the time,
seems
Dr.
trivial.
Alka. Even as we are speaking, it's happening in some other parts of the world.
Yes, of course it is. Of course. And it happens vice versa also.
Yes, yes,
Females face the same situation when there are men who do not respect them and consider them not to have enough worth or enough gray
exactly.
matter
Yeah,
to be able
yeah,
to
yeah,
actually be part
exactly.
of a certain project. I think this thing is something that we need to actually, like you said, work with diplomacy, using the power of communication. And again,
Yes,
the power of the C's, care, connect,
yes, yes, yes,
communicate,
yes.
create. All
Yes.
this comes together then. Now, Professor, I'm going to ask you as a parting shot. You were wonderful. Thank you so much. Muchas gracias. Terima kasih. And what else? What else did you use? Sheshe. Yeah,
Merci,
sheshe.
merci beaucoup. Merci,
Merci
merci.
beaucoup. Merci beaucoup. Dhanyavad. That is India. So I want to ask
Gracias,
you,
muchas gracias.
muchas gracias
No
is
wonder I got
Espanol.
questions from that part of the world. they must
Yes,
have
yes, we
they must
did. We
have heard
did.
the muchas gracias.
Yes, yes, we absolutely did. But I want to ask you,
Hmm.
what is your experience? I mean, did you ever get into a embarrassing situation because you failed to use the art of diplomacy well, or or a situation you can remember where the art of diplomacy actually helped you out of an embarrassing situation?
Actually, I've had many encounters those days. In my
The one
corporate.
that is most uppermost in your
Yeah,
mind.
yeah. This one, when someone was really upset, one of my teammates was very upset, and you know how women are, they're outflow. The first thing I did was I chased the rest out of the meeting room just to leave her alone until she herself, recover and going out and start coming to me and then started to apologize. I didn't see anything at all. I just tell everybody, hey guys, all the ladies and whatever, they are the others to lead. So that's what you call one of my maybe at that time we don't call it diplomacy. That's maybe at that time I saw it as more of trying to show that I'm a very autocratic person. But actually, by doing it, it's actually
It
being
saved
diplomatic.
you. It saved the day.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's it, Dr. Alka. Yeah,
Okay,
by the
that
action.
was wonderful, Professor, and I'm sure I'll probably be getting more questions, which I will pass on to you, and we will be meeting again soon with your little talks. maybe on a different facet of communication, because that's an area you're super good at. So, and you know, it's always good to get different perspectives, because you never know by what you shared who can actually benefit. So I think as a legacy, people who are more experienced like you can share a lot of things to people who are still, you know, in that process of learning. But sometimes I feel, Professor, even as adults, even we as people need to hear certain things again and again. That is
Yes,
why we say that, you know, from the child in me to the parent in you, from the
yes,
parent in me to the child in you, life
yes,
is an endless
absolutely.
learning journey. And that is what Chilparko education is all about. And you were the one who made it wonderful today. So once again, thank you. Terima kasih, muchas gracias, merci beaucoup, dhanyavad.
Thank
And
you.
hasta mañana till we meet again. Thank you
Bye.
so much, Professor. Thank you. Bye bye. Thank you, everyone. Stay tuned for more programs. And if you have been actively, or if you, the ones who actually asked questions, will be getting proper, very nice certificates. And I will ask our professor also to, you know, have put his little nice handwritten note on those certificates. So stay tuned for that. Thank you, Professor. Bye bye.